Welcome to DoorDash second episode. How to accurately calculate your vehicle expense. Tell you honestly, I went through YouTube and watched multiple videos, and to my surprise, I did not find an accurate calculation for drivers like Uber, DoorDash, or any other gig type drivers. How to properly calculate their mileage. And I was surprised. I want to actually first give myself who am I and for you guys to understand the credibility. In the past, I was a CEO where I took a business out of the garage for a guy and turned it into a multi-million dollar business in 4 states and overseas. And be honest, if people would be coming to me like what I seen on YouTube based on vehicle operational cost and provide me those kind of statements in a business when I operated as a CEO, I would have been making wrong decisions and I would have never reached to that success. And I wouldn't be surprised if that data is also being provided to the CEO of DoorDash and some other companies, and they are making this wrong decision based on information. So first of all, I really would love this video get to DoorDash corporate and other companies out there where they're using drivers and drivers' vehicles to achieve their business goals. So you guys can actually really look at the true value of the vehicle. Also, I would like to the drivers to like take a look. Also, the customers that take those services take a look and understand that it's not with a snap of a finger that your food or you're being delivered to your job or back home. There's actually true cost, and you need to be take a part of it because that vehicle of that driver is being used to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. This is a picture I just googled on Google and picked it out for you guys kind of understand. And here I'll tell you guys the depreciation will be calculated in, tires calculated in, license, tax, and registration where I live are fairly cheap. So they'll be kind of included partially in maintenance portion. Financial charge, there is an option spot for that if you're financing your vehicle. Um, and I do have three categories. So maintenance section, you have insurance section and fuel section. So yes, um, those are the areas that you need to calculate. But say I'm not financing, but your vehicle are depreciating. So let like actually take a look. And also in the description of this video at the bottom, you will have access to this particular sheet. So what you're going to do, you're going to click on file, make a copy under your user, and you'll get a copy. And then that copy, you'll be able to change all the fields that are here. I would recommend making sure you the fields that you change are careful. They are not formula fields. So let's start. We have three, four type of vehicles out there that are used, and actually there's more categories because I've seen vehicles that have been beat up on the job, and person probably gonna put more money into that vehicle than the vehicle kind of can actually give the return to the driver. But end of the day, everybody's trying to make a buck because there's bills needs to be paid, there's food needs to be put on the table, there's family that's waiting at home and counting on the driver, and they're willing to go to any extent to make that happen. So I'm going to cover the three different types. So rental vehicles. Remember on that picture, we had a. Oh no, actually not here. Sorry, we apologize. But you have first option is actually vehicle rental. As of rental of the vehicle, when you get your insurance included in the rental and everything, I use here a total daily fee on the most cheapest vehicle in the area I could actually get a quote on, which is about $58 a day. Gives you unlimited mileage, which is kind of nice. Um, then you have a fuel cost. In my area, the fuel is slightly under. It's about uh, fluctuate between 289 and 297. So I just put in $3. Average daily mileage driven. Honestly, when I do dash and I accept good rides, good paying DoorDashes, I I roughly drive about 200 miles. There is days that when I'm trying to keep my acceptance rate higher, that daily mileage driving can actually go up to three and above 300 miles, and income just drops almost through the floor. Average mile per gallon. Even I drive a Prius, but it is an older Prius, and if I hustle, which I don't see a point why not to hustle when you're working a hustle job, gig job, I'm averaging about 35 to 38. On slow days, I might get up to 41. Most of the are driving, it's between restaurants and etc. So, average vehicle out there, small vehicle, you're probably going to be around 35 miles a gallon. So, if we take these amounts into account, your vehicle per mile cost will be around 38 miles. Let's say you drive 250 miles, then your cost of the vehicle might drop to 32 miles. I'm sorry, 32 cents a mile. So let's go back to the 200. Now we have a second type. And honestly, the second type is probably the most realistic when you have a contract and you're working under contract. You sign a 3-year contract with the company you're going to work with. You go out and you lease the vehicle for the 3 years and you go and drive. But there's a problem with the leased vehicles. And if you guys look at the companies, a lot of companies that actually doing business and using company vehicles, they're actually leasing those vehicles. But with the leased vehicles, there is one problem. You have 12,000 miles on an average included free for a year. Anything over that, you're having an over mileage charge. I have done some research, and the over mileage charge can be between 15, that's 1 5 cents, all the way up to 35 cents a mile. One of the companies that I would consider is actually, leasing a Prius. Again, for some reason, those vehicles have done me good in the last 10 years that I own them, and I owned quite a few of them. And I'll be honest, when I talk with the Toyota, I've been able to get with them where 20 cents over mileage, 12,000 a year on a 3-year contract. My monthly payment would have been around $350 a month. My insurance, actually, this number is not accurate anymore because that was my estimated price. 700 divided by 2. 700 was actually almost 800, but let's do 700 divided by 2. That's 350 divided by 6. 58 cents. So that on that leased vehicle, my price would be full coverage 58 cents. Oh, no, 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 that's not right. $58, 59. I'm sorry, $59. Let's round it off. Maintenance cost per year. I do synthetic oil only because I suspect to get maximum mileage out of that engine. Um, I do all maintenances based on factory recommendations. I use top oils and coolants and etc. So I estimated per 3,000 the cost of maintenance and also taxes. Where taxes here in the state where I'm at is a state registration is fairly good. So I estimate about $65 per 3,000 miles is reasonable. Uh, I added another miscellaneous $10 a month. That's car wash or etc. Maybe I don't know, just an extra $10. At that time I was calculating, but for some people that amount can be a lot bigger. For others, they never wash their car, might be nothing. I estimated $10, even though I just recently bought a monthly membership just in the car wash alone. It's $30. So, but we'll leave it at $10. Tires cost. I go with Michelin, and Michelin tires are with Costco. A 80,000 miles is about 650 on a winter. Um, like me personally here in Kentucky, I'll be replace it with a studded tire. So I kind of estimated that if I can get about out of that $650 Michelin tires, if I can get about 55,000, 60,000, that's with studded tires and etc. That'd be about reasonable. Then we have a tire. Oh, tire mile, so 50,000 right there. That's where I'm okay. So that's where it's at. Fuel cost per gallon. Again, we're gonna use the same numbers. Every daily run 200. Average miles per gallon 35. So we're using the same numbers as above. And we're working 6 days a week. That cost per vehicle is 81 cents. Is the most expensive, even though the most commonly used in the business. It is the most expensive form as a full-time driver. Need to make uh, a good income at 81 cents is you will be your cost of that leased vehicle. Most expensive out of the three options. Then you have option three. This is where a lot of argue happens compared to what is the true vehicle cost out there. So here I put in my scenario, and you guys actually can put in your scenario, and that's why I make this spreadsheet available so you guys can download and play with the numbers. This scenario here is the most scenario that everybody will be working with. You want to ask yourself a question. On the day when you started and you placed that vehicle into the business use, when you started driving that vehicle, for most of you, you won't be able to go back, but you can start that from today. You want to actually go and evaluate based on condition of your vehicle. You probably can go to a place like NADA, that's NADA.com, and look at retail value of your vehicle. Not trade-in vehicle, trade-in price, but the retail place. Another place you can go to is KBB, Kelly Blue Book, and price the vehicle at this website as well. These are the two places that I know where you can actually price a used vehicle. So now you want to get a true value of your vehicle based on the mileage, based on the condition. That is the value at which, if you had to go out and buy that vehicle again, Because right now you're estimating the vehicle. What if tomorrow something happens and that vehicle is no longer available for you to use? But you have to go out and get another vehicle for you to drive. So you want to be honest and fair. A year later, you're driving that vehicle and you suspect it to drive the vehicle for 5 years, but a year later, that vehicle dies because you put 90,000 miles on it and it's done. That means that 90,000 miles should have put something in the savings so you can turn around and buy that vehicle. See, when companies like DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, and others are looking at the situation, they're not looking at for you to recoup your vehicle on the date of X when they're done driving or whatever other situation is. What they're trying to do is actually trade your vehicle for the paycheck and make you feel like you're making money. But at the end of the day, you're just trading. You're taking the value of the vehicle in advance in a paycheck form most of the time. So let's get back. I ran the numbers and my vehicles comes to $7,000. I believe based on again, this is a vehicle that I owned for many years. Most of my vehicles that I buy them around 50, 75,000 miles with a motor that are minimum damaged. When I actually start using synthetic oils and other things in the vehicle, I able to recoup the vehicle almost to that engine almost to a new condition. So for me, it's a little bit of different comparison compared to others that might have vehicle in the Yukon Quaker state or something else that actually clog out that engine, and you will never get 150,000 out of that engine. But in my situation, I believe I can get another 75,000 out of the vehicle. So price of the vehicle on a day of you calculating or a day you put in the vehicles, whichever day you want to use, you want to calculate based on how many miles you'll be able to pull out of the vehicle, out of the engine, before you start throwing a lot of money into getting the vehicle back on the road or keeping it maintained so you can have it on the road. I believe you need to extract as much life out of the vehicle without putting a lot of money into it, and then you sell it for cheap to a third party, where from there they'll have to deal with the problems as they start arising. So I'm estimating I can get 75,000 miles, which that will put my vehicle about 230, 250,000, about 250,000 miles on a vehicle, and I can still be able to sell a vehicle before major problems arises. So monthly payment, I do not have any monthly payments. Those of you guys that are financing the vehicle, that's where you guys would have put in a monthly payment. And I hope you guys are not, because look at that. That $350 monthly payment, oh, just took that price from 27 to 59 cents a mile. So I hope that vehicle is paid off. And also, when you guys start calculating monthly payments, you guys need to readjust the vehicle value, because you only can calculate the vehicle value that already paid off, that actual value the equity that you hold. You cannot calculate what is still you're paying off that you do not hold in hand. So that's where you would actually calculate the value of the vehicle if you're putting monthly payment. So monthly insurance, where is that? 59. Maintenance costs per 3,000 miles, like we used before, 65 cents. Miscellaneous per month, you can use just a car wash, even though as at when you're out there, small things do break, like light bulbs and etc. And this is where monthly expense can come in. Tires cost, same situation. 50,000 miles on those tires, what I'm suspecting. Lifespan, $3 per mile. Average daily mileage driven, as here you guys can see, I put in my situation 260 miles. That is about average when I push uh, 8 or more hours. I can get up even a lot higher, but that's about average, is about 260 miles a day. Average mile per gallon, 38 miles. That's about what I average. As you guys can see, I talked before. My cost, as you guys can see, it was about 27 cents, went up to 29 cents based on this adjustment. Again, you uh, there might have something that I missed, but based on that image, I don't think I missed anything here. Pretty much everything calculated. You do want to calculate, correctly your vehicle. If you have no payments, that's fairly easy to evaluate. If you have payments, might be a little complicated to calculate, but you do want to actually calculate those accurately or calculate the vehicle value, add interest rate for whatever that's going to cost you to finish off the payment. Remember, you might have a 5 year uh, loan, but if you're driving 50,000 a year, you're probably going to easily exhaust that vehicle in 3 years. But and then when you go in to trade it in, you're going to have, they'll actually add to your new vehicle the debt of the old vehicle. So definitely, when you do those calculations, you want to calculate properly. So the value of the vehicle or the price you paid if you bought the vehicle and immediately put into service, plus the interest that you're going to pay for the whole term. How many my So let me actually do this. Let's say you went and you paid with interest everything. Let's say $18,000 for some cheap Chevrolet. I don't know. Never bought a Chevy. My situation is Priuses, so they're about 32,000 before interest. So suspected mileage on a Chevy, if you going to use synthetic oils and treat the car as nice, you're probably going to start seeing some seals leaking around 60 to 100,000. You're probably going to have some 90K mileage, that's a timing belt, etc. But let's put you're going to be able to squeeze somehow 150,000 miles out of the vehicle. So you're still having payments, but we calculated, instead of using monthly payments, we calculated that into the price of the vehicle. That's with interest and everything, which you can look at your loan application and you can see the total vehicle cost with interest and everything. And plus, anything you put down. So you total all that up. You would calculate, if doing 6 months insurance, you would break that up in 6 months. If you do it on a monthly basis, then you would take the monthly amount. Maintenance cost per 3,000 miles. If you're using synthetic, I would keep it around $65. Do not trade use that $29, $39 oil changes. You're not going to get 150,000 out of your vehicle. So go with something better. If you have to raise, see, with here I put in a maintenance. That means I put in oil, I put in brakes, because on the Prius, you might go through two set of brakes in 150,000. So compared to those vehicles that do not have engine brakes, like I use the engine brakes all the time, you going to go through. I had a Ford Focus at one time, and I did use it in a delivery format. It was not food or Uber or anything else. It was delivering newspaper. And by the time I hit 18,000, miles on that vehicle, and that vehicle I ended up buying had about 2,000 miles on it. By the time I hit 18,000 miles, I had to replace the brake pads. So different vehicles, different situations. So your expenses might be higher, lower. It all depends. So miscellaneous per month. These are actually monthly expenses on the vehicle, like car washes or anything related to, so you can be presentful at your work. Some of you, because honestly, I deliver only for about a month, month and a half, and my car already stinks inside with food, and I'm not sure what else. So I'm considering maybe even doing the detail in my car, which will run around $200 to $300 to detail my car out and resolve that smell. And I had nothing really spilled other than, uh, restaurants put a little bit too much of Coke, so Coke maybe got a little bit on the seat. Dairy Queens are not really clean with their ice cream, so maybe a little ice cream got on the seat, just from the cup or something, or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but then again, that would actually cost more. Tires, as I've said in the past, you want to calculate. So if you're suspecting 150,000 out of your vehicle, and you're estimating your tires gonna wear about 50,000 before you have to replace them, and it's gonna cost you, let's say, $650 every 50,000. That means you're looking at about $1,800 on the life of your vehicle. You don't want to stick with good tires. I have looked at various different brands, and a lot of brands don't even last half of their mileage warranty. Michelin tires have multiple times, and I have honestly over 3 million miles under my belt on a light vehicle driving. I don't carry CDL and never did in my life. And Michelin tires have actually showed, and I'm not paid by Michelin. I'm just telling you guys the truth and the fact out of my experience. Michelin tires have showed to get between 70 to 100% on the mileage that they guarantee. Again, they about 2 years ago or 3 years ago they came out with their 80,000 miles instead of 90,000. I've been having problems with that 80,000 mile Michelin tires, but I also ended up buying their first batch, so maybe I got stuck with a bad batch as it was a new batch. I do not know. But if Michelin ever listens to this video, guys, tell you this: I dealt with Costco probably 15 times to resolve that situation with those tires. They're not willing to. So if you guys believe you guys having the 80,000 miles, you guys believe you guys having a good quality tires, I'm stuck with the bad tires. Just to keep you guys for you guys to know. So that's the situation on the tires. Fuel cost per gallon. Fuel will always fluctuate, so you want to get an average daily mileage driven. That's how many miles you drive per day for your work, including to and from. For your business, including to and from, because end of the day, it's 100% you're driving for the dollar that you're getting paid. So that's also counts against your total that you were suspecting to get. So make sure you calculate your driving accurately on average. And what is your average mile per gallon? You can achieve that by gassing up your full tank, uh, drive until you get to a point where you need to gas up again, gas it up, look at how many gallons you have put in the vehicle, divided by how many miles you've driven, and you'll be able to see, or the mileage driven by how many gallons, you'll be able to see what is your mileage per gallon. You want to do that a couple times so you can get an average based on your habit of driving. And of course, the winter and summer driving will fluctuate on your average mileage per gallon. So keep in mind, I know on my Prius when I drive in the winter, it does drop to about 33 to 32 miles per gallon. If I sit around and wait, like sometimes we might do with DoorDash, that even can drop lower because that engine no longer shuts down. It's constantly working to keep your engine warm and keep your cabin warm. So that amount. So end of the day, it's 31 miles a gallon. 31 cents per mile. DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, whoever else out there. Can you guys look at that number? As I described here, tell me, should I put down zero on my vehicle and then end up with no vehicle when that day comes where that vehicle is done? My calcul actually let's go back. So if I put down to zero, yeah, then actually my expense is 19. Most of the drivers out there, this is how they actually calculate their cost per mileage. They ignore this, which again, need to have at least 100,000. Probably that's what drivers suspect. Insurance, I'm not sure how they calculate. Maintenance, probably put down $19, $29 at Walmart or cheap oil change. Nothing on monthly expense. Tires cost zero. Fuel cost, maintenance 19. So yeah, so when drivers out there calculate this weird price, yeah, 16 cents, but that's not a true real price per vehicle. At my vehicle that is still worth $7,000, if I were to wreck it today, I would get from my insurance $6,000 after $1,000 deductible. So that's a $7,000 would actually they will valued my vehicle. I still estimate, like I said, about 75,000 out of my vehicle, my insurance cost, maintenance. Again, that number can fluctuate. Monthly expense, like keeping my vehicle presentable. So when I get to the customer, they don't, and they look inside of my vehicle. Like sometimes we hand the vehicle or the food to the customer, and he's standing on a sidewalk, and we literally don't get out at that point. We just open the window and we hand them the food, and they look into our vehicle. They look and they see, and we do not want our vehicles to look like junk. We don't want our vehicles to look like junk from the outside, like it hasn't been washed for 2, 3 years. We still need good tires, right, in order to drive safely on the road. So there is a cost of tires, the life span of the tires, fuel cost. What is our average trip? So are you guys looking to maybe we drive 50 miles a day? That means 62 cents a mile. So the more we drive per day, the cheaper it gets. So how much you guys want us to drive? You guys want us to drive 450 miles a day? 450 miles a day, that's only dropped to 25 cents a mile. Didn't make much of a difference. So, guys, 30 cents is about an average realistic price per on a vehicle expense. And it's not a 19. I have seen as low as 14. What exactly guys are driving? Or somebody gifted you the car and you have no clue what the value of the car is. Or you're that desperate for the paycheck that you're willing to trade in your vehicle that you paid or you're still paying dearly for a paycheck. I'll give you guys a glimpse, but this is going to be episode 3 is what I actually earned on the last couple days. That's me driving with my wife on her app and me driving by myself on my app. Since none of us are top dashers, it's not easy to get on the schedule. So that fluctuates. But to give you guys a little, so I pull in that price, 29 cents from the vehicle cost. So how much to offer, how much actually we got paid. I did hide a tip because end of the day, the real truth is I personally believe tip is something that customer gives me. He appreciates my efforts. He gives me as a part of his income. It should not be a part of calculation that companies, Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, and any other company should actually count that as a calculation. So offers when started with lifted. Here I took the actual as the winter's in. I started adjusting because I live in an area where I always have to come back to the same area to pick up the food again. All restaurants in one spot, and then we deliver into various different directions. Um, this section right here is what actually customer paid. I did hide the tips. Here's where the cost of round trip, so pretty much how many miles that was from the restaurant to the customer times 2. Um, as you guys can see, these days here do not. This is the only day I believe that actually I ran for 12 hours. Rest of the days I couldn't get a full schedule, so that was actually my last day that I had scheduled for a full day that I had started recording. Then I started taking pictures so I can record. Um, so that means mileage times cost per mile. So we see here how much DoorDash paid. So we're taking that base pay that DoorDash paid. We're subtracting against the cost, and as you guys can see, most of the time I'm in a hole. Also, here you guys see the Danville. This is the round trip that cost me to get to the area from my house before I can even turn on the app to dash because I don't have there's no dash in the area where I live, so I have to go to the neighbor town to even dash, and that is about 11 miles to where I can actually dash. So I was surprised that it cost me 650 just to go dash before I actually can make a buck. I never actually looked at what is my cost to actually drive the vehicle for 11 miles round trip, 22 miles. Now actually I know what it's cost me to drive for 22 miles. So um, so that's the cost on operation. So here's a calculation. My round trip. So it's 20 minutes to Danville, 20 minutes back home. So it's round trip on the trip is 40 minutes. So we have a calculation of total of almost 12 hours. For the total day, average is about uh, negative 8.5. I'm not average. Yeah, average. Total for the day. In order for me to drive and deliver these deliveries, Based on what DoorDash paid me, I'm in a hole of $8.55. That's before calculating the tip. So DoorDash, I hope you guys out there listening. Based on the vehicle that we went through, and I discussed, this is how much you guys are paying me to dash. So I have to pull out 855 out of my pocket just to drive for you guys. So that's total cost for that day. That's the driven mileage for that day. Um, that's with a tip, how much they paid me for the day, how much they offered, but then they had some hidden tips. That's how much they paid me just DoorDash alone. When we take that, that is negative 72 cents per hour that I worked. Now, taking tip into calculation after vehicle expense, I made that day $6.58. DoorDash. I do not know how to lay it out. What kind of form you guys want? You guys can contact me and ask me and explain how you guys want me to lay it out. But based on that is the reality right there. That's after tip and everything. 658, and I have not taken 100% of offers. It's impossible to take 100% of the offers. I believe this day is actually I was picking and selecting, and I got 658. Here's another day. Did better, but again, I did not have a full day. Um, $8.57. I believe this day is I turned off the phone because that day they tried to crash my acceptance rate. They did that around 1 o'clock where I took the break somewhere. Right here is where I took a break. I took a break and DoorDash and I selected pause and DoorDash still kept sending me to Harrisburg, which is about 40 miles round trip. Offer me 6, 7, $8 on those rides. I put it on pause and they still send me two more offers while I was on pause. That acceptance rate that day, I had about 78% acceptance rate. That day, they crashed my acceptance rate below 60%. So at around 6 o'clock, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned off my phone. And since then, I've been working my ass off to get my acceptance rate above 70%. So to the end of the month, I am not driving. I got my phone to 70% acceptance rate, and I'll keep it like that so I can qualify as a top dasher on the first of next month. But this is unacceptable. I contacted DoorDash multiple times. I said they need to split that area so they can have dedicated drivers in Denver and dedicated drivers in Harrisburg. There's supposed to be two individual areas. There's no restaurants in the span of 17 miles. Most of the drivers are in Denver because that's where it's busy. Most of the day it's busy. Harrisburg is only busy with glimpses of here and there. So it's just not fair. Where in one day you can drop 30% in acceptance rate just because DoorDash is desperate to get something delivered and nobody's willing to drive there because they're not willing to do, what needs to be done right, is break that area apart and have dedicated drivers in each area. I will have this, what it costed me, and there'll be more videos to come on, more episodes to come on DoorDash. I probably will be walking away from DoorDash when I got offered a sales job, which will pay me at least 2 to 3 days worth of driving, and I'm talking about driving 12 plus hours a day. What DoorDash could pay me, what can pay me just in one sale. So if I can keep 2 sales a week, I'll, which I think I should have no problem doing that, will pay me a little bit more than what I would what I would get paid by DoorDash after vehicle expense and everything. Um, Driving 12, 13 hours a day, 7 days a week for the whole month. So I already accepted a job. I might fill in some spots here and there, but I don't think I'll be going back full time driving. Um, as I probably have told you guys in the beginning of the video, I have skills. I have professional skills, and I could easily advise the company where changes needs to be done. So far, I tried to get hold of the company, and they behaved disrespectfully to me. I understand when a 17 or 18-year-old calls a company, but somebody that has successful record, built 2 companies that value each over $4 million in my lifetime, and being disrespected like I was with DoorDash, it's not acceptable. People at my level of skills and knowledge and experience easily should be able to get hold of top level department managers and talk on issues. I'm being directed to the regular low level customer service who would not even allow me ever, not once, allowed me to speak anything above. I even tried getting a get hold of legal department. They wouldn't even allow me, wouldn't even provide information to their legal department. Yeah, start having a feeling there is no legal department. There's nothing other than maybe headquarters with like 10 employees, and everything else is outsourced. That's why the outsourced department does not have any information to the corporate office because it's so small that there's nothing to provide. So, DoorDash, if you guys are serious and would like to talk, let's talk. I have driven about 6, 7 years ago for you guys when you guys just launched in Sarasota, Florida, before you guys even had app, when everything was done through a text message and a phone call. I know some inside how you guys ran back there. Not going to provide information how, but that information been provided to me back then. So I understand you guys need to make shareholders happy, but at the same time, you guys need to keep the drivers happy too. because you guys do have two seasons in most of the country. That's winter and summer. In the summer, anybody can drive, even the fool can, most of the time. You need about 60 IQ to do your guys' deliveries during the summer. Mess it up, of course, every order, but make it there. But when it comes to the winter, most of those drivers won't be able to drive. Most of the drivers will wreck their cars within the first 2 days of the icy roads. That's when the professionals won't get on the schedule, won't drive for those first 2 3 days when everybody's wrecking their cars. But when you guys try to push those drivers away, and they get other jobs like me, I got offered another job, pay those pays. Honestly, if I with what I got to sell, I'm honestly think I can probably sell 2 3 of those a day. I can get back to my to the to the nice income. And then you guys get stuck with amateurs, those that have no driving skills when it comes down to the tough times, to the harsh weather. Then you guys can start offering prices to drivers, but they'll be busy with something else. See, you guys need to respect your drivers during the summer and collect them and hold them like gold. So when those tough times come, you guys can reap the benefit of those drivers. So you guys are burning to drivers right now, and you guys earn a bad name. Nobody will want to drive for you guys. Some drivers out there speak up and say, "Hey, I'm doing it part time. I'm having the regular job for that." Yeah, will those part timers carry you guys? Let's see. I have not kept up on Uber for last couple of years, but when I drove for them a couple of years back, honestly, when I drew for them, I didn't drew because I needed the money. I was asked to to drive and investigate, and they were going down a very slippery slope. I have no idea what they're paying today, but back then it was worse than what DoorDash is paying right now. When that calculation that I did right now for DoorDash, when I did for Uber, every single one of those rides were red. At least with DoorDash, you have some, positive rides. With Uber back then, there was not one positive. Tip was the only thing that most of those rides were worth it. But of course, some of those customers understood because we had a chance to talk to them while we drew. And they understood the situation. And let's an example on a 100-mile round trip, guy would pull up a 25, $35 tip to make it worth it. On a $150 round trip, which was from Sarasota to Tampa Airport and back, customers tipped around 40 to $50 because they knew that what Uber's paying wasn't enough to cover the vehicle cost. Hey guys, and everybody, I wish you guys can spread this video. This video need to be seen by every driver, by every customer, and not just in the DoorDash, in all industries out there that people use their vehicle to drive for business. They need to see, they need to have a calculation to the calculator so they can actually understand the true cost of driving using their vehicle to drive. And also, this video is to get to the decision makers in the companies that are using drivers with their vehicles. So the companies can actually understand that there is a reason why IRS is using 56, 57, 58 cents as a deduction. IRS actually did the calculation and they already know that a average vehicle out there, the, the cost should be somewhere in that price. But they are also calculating, more expensive vehicles, leasing situations, and rental situations, and etc. So there is a reason why they're selecting 56 cents. And if you are still believe that the driver that vehicles drivers vehicles cost per mile is 19 cents or less or 13 cents, I have never got an answer from DoorDash what they believe the cost per mile is for dashers. But when I was investigating Uber and driving for Uber a couple of years back, Uber came forward and says straightforward that average cost per mile for Uber driver is 19 cents, 13 cents. Sorry, is 13 cents. That's not realistic, guys. Please share this video, like it, subscribe, and share, and be blessed. This information needs to reach everybody that needs to be reached, especially the makers in those big corporations. Take care.